So what, you guys, you want me to watch that video a little bit on the factions? Yeah, let's watch it. It's by Bricky and it's called Every Single Faction in Warhammer 40K Explained. Shout out to Bricky for making this amazing video for us noobs.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about, to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky,
Hi, Bricky.
and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time.
Thank you for educating us.
I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40K race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about,
editing.
and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
Yes, this is me!
And Warhammer 40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs, and then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions.
We're not a heretical viewer.
So
we are,
overall, the Warhammer...
We're ignoramus, I don't know, ignorami viewers. I mean, I am, not you guys. Of course not you. I know that you're like super educated in the universe of Warhammer 40K, but not me. I know Luton. When I have time, I will definitely do that. I will definitely check his videos. It's like his videos are like an audiobook, you know?
Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well.
Thank you so much.
At least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So, I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40K universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions,
just the
and
main
have
ones.
you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well in case you are curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man, because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore. Oh, boo-hoo. What is Warhammer 40,000?
Lots of ladies will know all about Warhammer when Henry Cavill stars in the Warhammer movie. Yeah. Warhammer has been around for like, I don't know, 50 years or so, right? Or how long? 40 years, no way to learn all the lore. This is why I've always been very intimidated by it, and I didn't think I will ever have time to catch up on the lore, to get into it. But I've always been attracted to the Warhammer, I don't know, lore, just, you know, Warhammer 40K in general, mostly because of the artwork. Like, that's all I ever saw. I saw people talking about Warhammer, and then I haven't played any Warhammer games, haven't played the tabletop games, haven't read any books, haven't played any video games. But whenever I would see any Warhammer art, I'd be like, this looks beautiful. This looks so badass. Like, I can only imagine how cool this universe is.
Is the year 40,000, the 41st millennium. That's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD.
Oh, this is why. Like, nobody told me why it's 40,000. Why is it 40,000? Why is it 40,000? What's the 40,000? There we go, the timeline.
You're already more knowledgeable.
Yes, I am!
First of many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard. Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is.
I think we just played a Fallout for 9 hours, and guys, Fallout is a cakewalk compared to Warhammer 40K. Fallout is like a La La Land.
So absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods, demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks. But that's like the charm of it.
Yeah.
See, everything in Warhammer is evil. But being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity, in its own right, is a xenophobic, prejudiced, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it.
Yeah, the bad guy is that much I learned
already.
Villains
are cool. They look cool. They got cool outfits. They got cool weapons.
They
got cool armies. Tau.
Oh, Tau. I heard about Tau.
And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the Emperor of mankind, a 10-foot-tall psychic demigod who led humanity across the
Emperor was
stars
a Chad
to
back then.
Tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40K, there is the warp, the immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker. Top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created 20 18 Primarchs.
He has
to
a
have
daddy.
them lead
He has
all of the
18
different legions of humanity
18
to
children.
different stars and plans to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier, the warp, that Imperium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason.
Oh,
and so
I
those
didn't
Chaos gods
know.
manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit. After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like...
To keep this ghoul alive, you gotta feed him 1,000 souls a day. Where did they get the people? Where did not people, psychers. What the hell? Psychers are people too.
The North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40K, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're
the
going?
warp travel. That's what we're doing. And
putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity. You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living
that was
god,
a sister of
which
battle?
is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor.
I heard that one
He
as well.
He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40K. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech, so long as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death.
And everyone deserves death in this universe. What the fuck? This is why they're a constant war with each other, because everybody deserves death. Exactly.
The murder continues and humanity expands. The Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Pretty shit now, man.
Astra Militarum. Okay.
Game over, man.
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures,
so the
galactic
army.
monstrosities, the literal demons themselves
over,
breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun, the main weapon of the Imperial Guard. It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40K universe. Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But who cares? Because the Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust.
I mean, he started with the
Imperium
Imperium of Man.
And as this barrage continues, hundreds of
And then he's going to be explaining other races as well.
Sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachan jungle fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking giant knife,
this is
Rambo,
so
Predator
80s looking,
where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan winter soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle.
There's so many
and then of course
them.
the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote,
What happened
I have
to
at my
them?
command an entire battle
What happened to that planet? The planet is gone.
group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40K. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man
But they're
with a
so
laser
basic.
rifle being told to charge
I
the
mean-
horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just poetic. They actually represent the main Imperial
Basic
Guard
but
tactics pretty
poetic,
well.
okay.
Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and
Oh my
gunships.
God, look at those cute
Overall,
miniatures.
they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines. The Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened,
like
their
these
bones
guys
are
I know
stronger, they're taller than the average
because of the
person.
armor.
They're pretty massive
Very
people.
recognizable.
And these are the specialized super soldiers
They're like
that
elite
carry out a lot of the more
troops.
specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I
Has a
mentioned before,
legion.
oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines. Jagatai Khan has the White
What?
Scars.
Girly
Dawn
Man?
has the Imperial Fists. Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard. And
Why is it called a girly man? what is it called? I heard girly man. I'm sorry. Oh, ghouly man. He's very feminine.
there's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds, their reflexes are faster, their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boy.
Girly. Couldn't decide on a faction to main. So many interesting. Yeah, Gary, I agree. I mean, I don't know anything about them yet, so this is why I'm watching this video. But I feel like they're all very interesting, and like I don't mind, you know, evil factions or like Xenos. I don't have to be, you know, don't have to be a human. Or they have orcs too. Orcs are cool.
Strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little
okay.
bit too strong, and that's a lore problem. But
They're like OP
White Scars by
or something?
Jagatai Khan are all about speed freaks, go fast. We're talking attack bikes, we're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick, you want to hit them hard, you want them to be swarming around like buzzflies, buzzsaws, with the speed of buzzsaws.
Buzzsaws.
Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also
The
actually
Green
some
Boys.
of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this
The
kind of
Green
like
Boys
holier
look
than thou
cool.
thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the
Salamanders.
lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior.
They're like
and blazing
they look like
red
drow.
eyes. Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much
Like good
sense,
drow.
but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil. Like
I
everyone
like
else's.
these
Oh my god, we're not even a
guys. I
quarter
like
of the
the
way through the
Green
Space Marine
Boys.
legions. Imperial
green, black
Fists, leading the
boys
power
and
of the siege
girls.
and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and
Wait, can they
sabotage
be
while having
girls?
bird helmets.
Wait, can
Iron
there
hands.
be girls? Can the Space Marine be girls too? They're only showing boys. Where the girls at? No. Oh, it's because the Primarchs. Primarchs are all boys, and this is why they're using only their genes, right? Are they called Primarchs? I'm sorry. The Emperor's 18 sons. I think they are. I know Sisters of Battle. I was just wondering if the Space Marines could be girls.
Masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space wolves, Vikings, and wolves, and tons of wolves, and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space wolves, so angry, big teeth, blood angels,
yeah. Ooh,
genetic
cool.
defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the Red Thirst. They have Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark Angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and...
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once from a blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, a fancy pantsy anti-Xenos group that
They put Beetlejuice in there. It's Space Wolves are Vikings? Okay, I was on board. The Space Marines are so fucking cool. What the hell? I have to play this game now. Dark Angel. Oh my god, okay. No. Okay, guys. We're going to continue this. We are going to continue this video next time. I just want to like split this watching this video in a bunch of segments, and we're gonna continue watching the video next time. Okay.